Well, hello and welcome to the webinar. My name is James Timmons and I'll be instructing you through today's session. Thank you so much for tuning in. You should be able to hear my voice at this time, and you also should be able to see my screen. If there's any problems with those, there is a number in the chat box that you can dial for webinar support at 877-582-7011. Hello, Margaret and Bonnie, Melissa and Barb, welcome. Thank you for joining in today. Today, guys, we're going to create a freestanding lace design, and we're going to do an angel today with this particular project. Hi Alpha, welcome. And here is what I found. And of course, I was scouring the internet looking for something as a test for us for a project to do, and so this is what I kind of came up with. Now we're going to go in, we're going to create our own little angel here from this particular design that you see here. As we're looking at this design, tell me what you see. Excellent. Bronwyn says symmetry. Yes, there's symmetry. And that's one of the main things here about this particular design, that helps us basically. Hello, there, Bronwyn. And so the symmetry is going to help us because it's going to allow us to do a half of what we normally do, because we're going to copy and paste. And so that's good for us with this particular little project here. And we're going to change some of this up here also with our design. We're going to adjust and change some of this also. So as I click on this imagery here, and I'm just going to go in initially and create some of the symmetry here. And so here, I'm just going to go in and got some of this already done here. And I think for something like this, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to our knife tool. Hold on here, let me bring up the color object list over here. And the knife tool, and I wanted to split this. Yep, just like that. And just so that I could grab this one, and I'm going to go to my reshape tool here. And I want these two here to touch. It's important that there are touching here, because when I select both of them, this one and this one here, and I want to combine here. I want to weld those together like this. Actually, I want those to be one item here. So now I'm just going to click here on my little ellipse tool here. I'll go down to the bottom here, and I'm just going to start here, click, just going to bring it out like that. And again here, as I go from side to side here like this, leave this right there. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this here is I want to move this down here. Move that inside. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my tools inside the software to build my objects here on my screen here. And I'm gonna click on this guy here. This one here is already in the center here. And this one here, I'll just navigate this a little bit here also. And that one's also in the center. And so here, once I select my objects here and go to my knife tool, I'll go in here and I will cut that one. And also cut that one here also, because I don't need this one, just the outsides here. So now, as I'm looking at this, now, and with this too, all I'm doing here, guys, is I'm doing my outline. On my outline here for this, and I'm gonna do the outline first. So I'm trying to gather as much information here. And for this also, I'll decide whether I'm going to use two different fills with this or just use one fill, because I have two wings here as well as the fill here on the bottom. And so, and I think I want to split those up as far as the fills go. Okay. And so right now with this one, so I select this one here, I'm going to move this in a little bit more like this, like that. And I'm going to click save here also. So now with this design that we're creating here, again, I'm just trying to get the outline border of this, because the fill here, all this stuff here on the inside here is going to be filled in as far as the wings and the body is concerned with this also. So having said that, I'm going to click on if you look at the, as I select this, I'm going to press K to lock that on the screen so it doesn't move. So right now, as we're looking at our design and we're figuring out what type of stitch that we want to use to go in and fill these areas in here, we have the first one over here, and I'm just going to select this one as I press my control key down and select those. And I'm going to do a control D. And I'm going to flip these horizontal like this, and I'm just going to slide this over. And this is just to make this symmetrical. And if you're creating designs and things like that, I mean, you don't have to do everything that I do here. I just like to make sure that everything, if it's symmetrical, that it's exactly the same. Okay, and that puts my mind at ease when I know that for a fact, basically, and that there's no difference in them, especially if because they're exactly the same anyway. So that's the reason why, I kind of do what I do for this here. So right here with this one, again, I'm just putting in the lines here, selecting them here, control D, and flipping those again horizontal, and just moving them over to the other side like this. That's all I'm doing. Okay, and as I click save, Now, when we're going in and we're creating something like this, again, we're going to know, and what I also want here also is I want to put a circle here at the top. Control D again here. Hold my shift key down here. And I want to leave that there as I click save also. Okay, so here we have our design. And again, as we're going in, one of the things that I use for this actually, I'll go in, I'll use the tatami stitches at a wide density, and sometimes I'll use the double square here as this fill is for a like a chenille machine. Okay, and so those are the type of designs that I do. And like I mentioned to you before, if you're going in high gale and hygiena, so if we go in and we're working on something, like this, it's up to you if you want to go in and create your objects and then import other objects in the design. And I've done that before. And again, if you wanted to do that here, you could always go to File and choose Import Embroidery. And any design that I've done with the freestanding lace here, if it's something that I'm going to group this together here and slide this over. Okay, and for this now, as I ungroup this, all I need for this, don't need any of this. These are just other objects here. But if I have my fills here for this, so I move this, I've got one fill here and another here. And so I can use these fills here on my new images here by just going in and right clicking them, making those properties current. Okay, and so you can do that also. You don't have to go in and just manually do everything. And I'm going to save this here for a moment. Okay, and so now as I'm looking at this, if I want to go in and do my fill for this, I could just go in and choose my fill type here. I'm looking at my tatami stitches here. And as I choose tatami stitch and have my tatami selection here also, I'll just go in and do this actually. I'll just digitize my inside fill like this. Just like this. There's lots of features in the software that will allow me to do this quicker than normal also. So I press enter here. Enter my entry point and my exit point here. And my stitch angle like this. Okay. Now for this first one here, I'll also, now that I have my new objects here, separate these so I'll know exactly where I'm at here with this. So now with my new, I can right click this and I can make those properties current. And I can right click here and I can apply those current properties like this. And so you could do this when you're working inside the program. Now again, I'm going to do a Control D to duplicate that fill. And on the second fill, as I'm looking at this, let me right click and hide this one. On that second fill, when I make those properties current here, and I right click this and I apply those current properties, they're just going to go in and it's going to apply those particular properties here. And Melissa asked, why am I using 2 fill layers? Is that necessary for standalone lace? I mean, everybody's different actually, and everybody, depending on what you're using, some people may prefer to use one, and that's fine. Nobody, I'll put it this way, everybody doesn't do the same thing. So as a reference here for this one, here, let me unhide this. So, and because everybody works differently, so you could choose 2 or you can use 1. Lots of people, they use 2 layers, and some use 3. And it's just an option for you to try it, is what that is. Here, that exits here. And I want to make sure that when this starts, this one starts where the last one ended, and it exits here. Okay. As I click save. Okay. And all I'm going to do for this is I'm going to take this, I'm going to run this. Which is color number 1. I'm going to run this over to the other side like this. Hiding everything underneath. Coming back to the same point here on the other side like this. And I'm just going to stop that right there. Okay, so right now, I'm just going to go in. I'll select just the 2 items here that I just digitized. And I can either go here to edit and duplicate those, and then navigate here and move them horizontally like this, and just use the tools inside the software to make my life a lot easier. Just like this. Keep in mind that sometimes the artwork that we're working with is not perfect, and being able to produce one side of it and then go and produce the other side of it is very important for us. And for something like this, we'll just continue with this now. Here, I'll just choose the tummy stitch fill, and I'll start digitizing right here, just like this. And again, it's always great to have things that are symmetrical, because it just makes it so much easier as everything comes together. Just like this. Following my shape perfectly, because everything is right there for me. All I got to do is just follow my path. Just like this. As I press enter again here, I'm an entry point here, I'm going to exit here and do the stitch angle like this. And just like before, I have my 2 items here, and it's my choice here whether I want to go in and right click this and make those properties current. Apply. Okay, this one, right click, make those properties, oops, got to duplicate it first, right? Let's go to edit here, let's duplicate that. Now, go back here, make those properties current. Gonna hide this here to make sure I get the right one, and apply. Now I'll go back and I'll unhide this one. Okay, I'm gonna click save here. Don't need these anymore. Okay, and so you're just, as we're going through and we're working with these awesome projects, just know that when you're going in and you're creating these projects, basically that there's so many different things that we can do to just make it our lives easier in the process of going in and creating these objects. And so that's what we're, strive for basically here when I click save here again. And now at this time also, if I don't need my color number 1 here, I'll just hide those. Okay, I'll just hide them. Here, I've got my outline here. These are the vector objects here in my design. And I'm going to add a node point here and kind of move this here and move this there. Need a joining point there for that one. And here the same thing. I'm just going to move this here like this. So now the reason why I did that is because I needed to go in, and when I select those items here, 1 and 2, I'm going to select both of those. I'm going to navigate here to my shaping tools here. I want to weld those together. This is before, this is after. Okay. And so now that those are weld together, all I'm going to do is go in. I'm going to press M for measure, and I'm going to measure the width here of my columns, just like this. 2.7, great, because all I'm going to do is this. I'm going to right click here on my column C stitch, and I'm going to make this, lock this here, 2.7 as my default, like this. And so now when I go in and I select that here like this, and I navigate over here to my color object list here like this, on my column C stitch, and press enter, it goes in and it delivers this just like this. Okay. I have options here for these corners here. If I want to use a wrong, right, undo this here. So you have options here inside your software where you can go in and you can adjust these. And right now for this corner here, I also have my options here for my corners here. As far as a mitered corner, you have a cap corner here and a lap corner. So I have options here as to how I want these to stitch. And so I determine, what I want to do with those actually. And I may just leave that here with this one, just like that, as I click save. Okay. Next here, I've got this guy here. And this is what it looks like here. As I click on my column C stitch and press enter, it's going to go in and it's going to create my shape here. Okay. And the one that I added later, this one here also, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to navigate here, click on my column C stitch, and have that stitched like this. Now, the one thing for this one here is that I don't need this one. I'm going to press shift, or through these. Those I don't need, I'll press delete. Okay, and it stops right here. Okay, again, we're putting this together. Okay, and this here, as we look at this, and I want to be able to go in and adjust and change this. I'm going to right click here to add a node point here. I'm going to move this node point this way like that. And so now I can go in at this point now, and I can break apart the column C stitch here now. And the reason why I'm breaking it apart is because I want to have this not the same distance. I want this to be curved on the end like this. Is how I want that. Okay. I have options here to go in and do that with it, but I'm just gonna show you what you can do here also to make this like a regular satin stitch. And I'm gonna right click on this. I'm gonna break it apart. And you see what it looks like now. Here's the object type here. This is what it was before. And this is what it is now. And I have node points. Okay. And all I wanted to do was go in, right click here to add curves. And I wanted to make sure that this, when this ended here, that it was a curve like that. Okay. So now with the fill here on the red, which is going to stop right there, and I can leave this just like that. Okay. And as we go in, make all these red here. Okay, so now this side here, now because again, everything that I do here, I want to repeat on the other side also. And that's again the beauty of being able to go in and create something like this. Now, this line here, now if I select this item here like this, and I go to my reshape tool, here's my starting point for this item here. Okay, and here's my exit point for this item right here. Okay, so why the connection stitch? I'm going to press tab to advance it. Well, here's a starting point here when it should be where this one ended as I click save. Okay, because this is something here that again that I'm setting up this here for the entire run with this, because right now once I select these items here that I have, these two, I'm going to do a Control D to duplicate it, and I'm going to again flip these horizontal like this, and I'm going to use my arrow key at 9 o'clock so I don't have to move the mouse button. This is totally straight, and I don't have to think about it being not straight for something like this. And I'm going to click save just like this. Okay, so I'm going to unhide these. So this is what we have here now. Okay, and as I'm looking at these, I got my fills there. Okay, and as I continue with this here, I'll go in. Now I've got this one. This one's thinner. Okay, so when I press M on this one, because it's thinner, it is actually 1.2. Okay, so I can either just select this and measure 1.2 like this. Same thing for this one. If I press enter, it remembers what it did on the bottom one. Okay, and I'll just select this here and move this up like that, and I can move this one down. If that's still too much for it, I can just go in and select this here. This should be 1.2. So we'll make this 1.2, make those smaller, change the color of those here, and I'm going to click save for this here also. Then I will select both of these. I will go to edit and I will duplicate them and I will flip them horizontally. And again, I will use my arrow key at 9 o'clock to move those over like this. Okay. Now, as I'm working with this, the next thing, remember the width for this one. As I go to my object properties for this, and the width of this one was on the outlines here. It was it changed it. So we use this one, 2.7. Okay. I'll just right click here, and again make this the default 2.7, like this. And now when I go in and I select this guy, I'll choose column C stitch. When I select this guy here, I'll choose column C stitch. See how that works? As I press save. Okay. And now also for this one here, I could just go here, do a Control D on this and use my Shift key to move this in the middle, like that. Press M, 1.2. And so I'll just go in now. I can select this, click on my column C stitch here, and just do the width manually like this. Okay. Or if I could move this down, not that one, this one here, go to my knife tool here and cut this just like that. Choose this again and choose my column C stitch. And that's what I have here now. And I could do 1.2 for the width of this. Can move this down like this. Okay, as I click save. Now again, as I select my items here and I choose my color for these, again, right now, all I'm doing here is I'm placing the objects on the screen in the right location where they should be at here with this is all I'm doing for this right now. Because if I were to run this as it is right now, I would have some issues with this because there are lots of trims in this right now. How do I know? Because if I take off the true view, as I select here, I could see all the trims in the design. And if I hid the background here, it's got trims in it in the red. Okay. And eventually they're going to be gone because all we're doing here now is just placing the right stitch in the right order here with the design. And that's one of the main things that we are faced with when we're creating designs, and just knowing where to put the stitches. You know, where does this stitch go? It's like a puzzle piece is what it is. And if they're not in the right location, that could cause for longer machine runs in production and things like that. It could cause an overabundance of stitches in the design for things like this actually. So we do what we can to go in and try to correct that before it happens. I'm going to navigate here back and I'm going to scroll up here. Color number 1, I'll right click this, then I'll hide these. Sometimes guys, you want to see colors on the screen. Sometimes you don't want to see colors on the screen, especially if you're working and you're trying to figure something out actually. And in the event that like right now when I go in, looking at these and I'm saying to myself, you know, do I want to use these? Can I do something different? We can definitely do something different with them. Okay. But what I want to do here also is I want to use the column C stitch with this as much as I can. So as I select this here, I'll start here with this one. As I press enter, I'll enter manually the width of that. Okay, and making this the right width here. So here, and so as I continue with this, if I go back in here again, start here with this one. Just like that, with this one. Just like this. Here, as I press enter, and I'm going to click save here also. So with these areas here of the design, as we're working with this, you know, most of the attention, most of the thought process is put here for this particular design with the design itself. Actually, we have the laces already in there, so the lace is done, and we're just going in now and we're improving everything else with the design is what we're doing here for this. So everything is going to be a part of this design. This and here. Here again with this one, like this. It's great being able to use the tools inside the software to make it faster. Like we see here. Like this. Just like this. So again, as I'm going through this and as I'm creating these objects here, this one, they have similar objects here also from within this. As I'm going through and I'm looking at this, and for this one, I'm not concerned at where I'm putting the stitches right now because I am going to be using the branching tool to branch these items actually. So, you know, I'm not, you know, too concerned about that right now as I'm going in. And kind of working with these as I'm, you know, creating some of my own stuff too. So you can do that. This is a class project that we're working on for training purposes here. So we can go in and we could adjust these items like this. And for this one, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We got this guy here. and I think we'll leave the other one out. So right now, what I have here on this side here of my little angel here is I have these items, and again, they're going to be copied and duplicated to put on the other side over here. So all I've got to do is just do half. Okay. And sometimes too, and I mentioned to you this in an earlier class, could have been earlier this week or last week, about when using the branching tool inside the software, and you don't necessarily have to just digitize everything and then just branch everything. You don't have to do that, because sometimes, depending on the level of detail in the design, you may have some issues with something like that. But you also have the option to just do to branch a section of this one, branch a section of the next one, branch a section of the next one, so you could do multiple branches with the design. So don't be um, um, caught with well, I got to do them all at the same time. Not necessarily. Okay, just depends on what you're working on. Okay, now you know what, this is bothering me. Okay, okay, so now, so with these, so now we've got this portion of this done. Okay, and we can go ahead and finish this portion here. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through this. I'm going to choose my pick tool here like this. So I go through this. I'm going to select by polygon, select here, and I'm just going to go in and just grab all of those items that I just digitized here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to branch this. I'm going to choose my branching tool here on the bottom, and this automatically sequence the groups as embroidery objects here. And I can say I want to start stitching here for this, and I want to exit right here. It goes in. Again, here's my new object here now. This is what it was before. This is what it is now by using one starting point and one exit point as I click save. Okay. And so that what that also means is, I could have just, I don't need this now either. See, because now I got this, and I can do a Control D to duplicate this and flip this horizontally. Okay. So you see, even because you're doing everything, and see, and I just thought to separate these branches. Originally, I was going to do them all at once, but I changed my mind. And so by changing my mind, it allowed me to go in and do it this way, which also works just fine as well. As I click save here. Okay. Now, if I, right now, as I'm doing this, I don't want to trim from here to here. So I want to run. I want to do a travel stitch here, just like this. And I want to travel to the area where the first starting point was, which is here. Okay. And now I want to resequence this number here. Right now it's at number 26. So when I click on this object here, which is 17, I'll press my control key. I'll click on number 26 here, and then number 25. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 to change the sequence here. Okay. So now it's going to run like this. It's going to run this one first, this one second here as the running stitch here that goes underneath that, and then this one last. Okay, and I'm going to click save. Okay, so as I continue with this, so now I've got the inside here, this area like this, and again, as I go in, I'll press M. I'm going to measure. So 1.2 here for this. So if I right click here, and I'll change this here to 1.2 like this and have that saved there. So now, as I'm looking at this, if this is going to be symmetrical like it is on the other side over there, I mean, again, if I'm going to use my branching tool here, I could just go in and create my objects like this. Okay. As I continue here, I've got one section here, and all I've got to do is choose a starting location here and just follow it. Location, location, location. You'll hear me say that until I'm blue in the face. Like this. And I know for a fact that now this one, I'll just add a curve here and just move this underneath this like that. Okay. So all I got to do for that, and here again, as I choose my column C stitch, I changed my mind. I'm going to backspace this. I'm going to use a running stitch to do this. Okay. And so I've got my running stitch here with this. Okay. And what I want to do, I want to click this one. I want to do a Control D for this one. And I want to flip this over. I want to place this on the other side here in position. Now, you see the area here. Now, if this was a double space here, it would be a double space there, yeah? But it's not. So I need to make this as thin as just one of these objects here. So I'm going to click this one. I'm going to use my knife tool here. I'm going to cut it right here. And I'm going to cut it right there because I don't need that section in there. Okay. Because this one is going to be the one that overlaps that one. Does that make sense? So I'm thinking, constantly thinking ahead, anticipating everything in the process. So right now, again, so now I can continue with this one here. I'll just click this one and choose this one here, like that. Click this one, same thing, just like this. I'm going to click Save here. All right, so now as I'm looking at this, and I'll just continue with this here with my column C stitch. 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. That's what that looks like. Okay. You have these areas here also. And I'm just going to go in and just create these separate little objects here. Okay. This area here, I want to shorten this stitch like this here, because you can do this because again, you're creating all of this yourself. So you can make that shorter there. Okay. And you have these little areas like you see here. Got to find out, got to make sure where it's coming from for that one. So I'm going to start this here, just like this, to finish that here. Everything has a starting location and it has a finishing location. Okay. So in here, if I decide to go in and do this one this way, and come back up and finish it this way here. Anything that I need to make up for, I'll just make up for it here. And as this goes in like that, and we have this one here also. And making sure also that it's not overlapping, you know, being more thick in one area than other areas also, just making sure that everything is in the right location. Okay, is what we're looking at here with something like this. Some things I could do that, sometimes I could do it that way also. Now again, here, as I start with this one, as I go in, curving this here like this, it has hard areas here because they're lines that should be curve points like this. Okay. As we continue, we'll continue here with this as we go in, and I'll start here. Just like this. Continuing here to use the column C stitch. Nine o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. As we click save. Okay. And I'm just gonna start here with this one. And I'm not gonna put all of that detail in these. Actually, I'll just stop these. Again, this is something that we're creating as a project. So with this, as it goes in, as I click save here for that, as we keep moving with this, column C stitch. Again, I'll make these shorter here so that I can go in, and when it stitches it, it's not going so far underneath that object also. And for this, notice how these sections here, they're being separated. It's easier on your machine to have objects that are separated like this versus having your machine do lots of sharp turns and things like that, actually, because those can cause more issues as far as the maintenance on the machine. So here now with this one, and I'm going to, I'll start this one here and stop that there like this. So it's easier to just separate the items. With this one, in here, in here. As I click save here, you know, I'll do this one also. All right, so now we'll take a look at what we have here, and again here for the center here for this one, We have 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. And I'll leave that right where it is right there. Okay, as I click save again, okay, so we're on our way. So now with all of that done, again, we've gone through and we've done our first run on the wing area here. And with the second wing here, and now we know that the stitching is going to start where this exited here on the wing, which is right here, is where our stitching is going to start here for everything else here. So right now, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to select all the items here that I just went in and created here. So right now, let me scroll this down. And what we got is going to start right here. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Now I'm going to do a edit and duplicate. I'm going to mirror this horizontally, and I'm going to slide this over like this. Okay, and so now also we have these areas here. We're just kind of matching everything up here. Missed one here, but that's okay. I'm going to flip this over. Just like this. Okay. And this last guy here with this one, I'm just going to click this one like that. Go to my column C stitch, just like that. And I'm going to click save. Okay. We're constantly anticipating. Carla asked, why is the running stitch on top of the satin stitch here? Because this is at the, if I select that here, you see where that object is right there. It's before this because I've not restitched that yet. That's waiting on me to make. That's waiting on me to make a decision because remember, all we did in the beginning were the wings and the running stitch, which is going to stitch before this area here. So that area, this is going to disappear in a moment. Okay. Don't even worry about it. So right now, with everything else that I've done here for this design now, and I just want to make sure here also that this is gone because I don't want any. Yeah, there you go. So now, so at this point now, guys, I'm just going to go in as a precautionary measure. I'll select these items here. I'm just going to change the color on them. One, two, and three. I'm going to change color. Okay. So this maybe can give you another clear view here, basically, on what I'm doing here with this, because this is what's already been stitched. The green is already what's been stitched, and everything else is going to be like this one needs to be below this now, because you see what happens now, before and after. Now it's in the right location, so therefore that travel stitch underneath there is gone, or at least it's hidden. So right now I'm going to select the rest of the red here. This is branched. This wing is branched. This wing is branched. Now I'm going to do everything else. I'm going to choose my branching tool here like this. This is going to start stitching where the wing here ended. It's going to start there. And I want this to exit right here. Okay. Look at my color object list. This was before. Multiple starting and exit points. One starting and exit point. Okay. And as this one finished stitching here, that's the exit point here for this one. I'm going to press S to hide the stitches here, and D also to hide the image in the background. So with this, this is the exit point here. As I press Tab, this is where the stitching starts again, avoiding a trim. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, if I click on my colors here, as we unhide, everything else here. And so here we have our design here. So right now, what I'm going to do here is I want to go in and let's run this. Let's run it and see what we got. I'm going to click here on the bottom to remove all my unused colors because I'm not using them. I don't need them in there. And here on my fills here, they're 80% here, and underlays for this center run is sufficient. Don't need a secondary underlay stitch for that here as I click save. And let's run this. I want to see if there's any trims in it. And so as this runs, again, I'll go back and I'll make sure that those exit points and starting points are in the same locations. They move because of the closest join. So here now, as it goes in, okay, and here I have to move the starting point on this one because it's in a separate location. That's why I did a trim. Again, that's the reason why we run this, so that we can see where any areas are that need to be fixed. But this blue, there should not be one trim in the blue. It should run completely because of the branching. Okay. And we'll go back in, we'll fix that. But this is a great tool in the software because it allows us to see any areas that need to be fixed. This feature in the software helps us greatly with this. Now this area here, there definitely should not be a trim on this area here because everything was done, it's branched in the same object. And as it goes in, follows all of the little patterns. The branching tool is a great tool, and it is a massive time saver of digitizing also. So as it goes in, completes everything else here like this. As it goes in, and it finishes this off. Just like that. And once we stop this here, after it did this first one, the exit point was here. As I press tab, that's where this one started. So I can just go shift tab and just move this exit point here to the bottom. That was easy. Goes in. As we click save here, there was another one somewhere where they, did I miss it? Oh yeah, the fill here, where the exit point is on this fill. I'm going to go to my reshape tool. Here's the exit point here for this fill. So when I press tab, the next object should start stitching where this one ended. So as I press tab here, as you see, the running stitch or the stitch here, entry level stitch here, it went in another direction here. So I'm going to use this here. So now as I click save, so this time, and what we can do here also, under the once we click on the objects here and we go to connectors, under connectors, you also have the ability to go in and adjust the settings here for after object, which means anything that's not branched. Okay, and if there's anything that's branched, like you see here, when we use the features for that, we have to use inside the object for that. Okay, because it's branched. It's like the Wilcom fonts. Okay, and so now if we run this again, just to make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to do here. Again, starting and exit points. You see how it continue running? And that's what we want if we're using multiple layers of the same color. Okay, very important. So with this one, as I choose my reshape tool here for this, I'll press tab. Okay. Okay, very good. So now, with these areas here now on our fills, as we go in and we look at this, this is exactly how this is going to run on the embroidery machine. Just like this. Because that blue, when it starts to stitch, it shouldn't stop. It should go all the way to the end, like you see here. Faster production. Excellent. All right, so this is going to be our project for today, guys. Have questions here? Maris has a question here. Will the head stay together with the tatami stitch underneath it? When you stitch this, it should stay together. And because when you stitch this, everything is actually being stitched on the fabric type that's going to be used for the lace material, actually. So it should be fine. Brenda asked, what kind of special underlay are you using for the head outline and little curly things? I used a single running stitch, a center run underlay stitch for all those, and that should work fine. Brahma has a question: how does the Wilcom Shiftly add-on work? What is the difference? Shiftly, well, it's a totally different subject actually. With it works with the Shiftly machine, and if you've ever seen a Shiftly machine, it's a vertical machine about the length of a football field, and it runs patches 24 hours a day. And so that's a totally different machine altogether, actually, with that one. My pleasure, Margaret. Thank you so much. Yes, Steffi, the stops and the starts are crucial. In particular, if you're doing the same color, is very, very important if you're using the same color, because you don't want to, it takes the machine to do anywhere from 6 to like sometimes 15 seconds to do a trim. And you want to kind of um, have no trims anywhere that there should not be a trim. If you have something that's the same color and you're running from one location to another, you should, it shouldn't have a trim in it actually. And so those stops and starts are very important. And Bonnie asked, would it be more stable if using a zigzag as a second underlay stitch to help support it when using the washaway stabilizer? That's possible. That's definitely possible, because it's gonna increase the stitch count on it. Yeah, that will work actually. My pleasure, Barb. Thank you, Mars. Thank you so much. Hi, Doris. My pleasure. Doris says that she only had all my knowledge in my brain. Thank you so much for your kind words. And Gina says, I imagine the shift machine would need different language than embroidery machine. Well, I mean, they have, they have the machine, they have the machine commands also with the extensions as well. Except if you ever seen one of these machines, they're remarkable actually, and it takes hours to thread this thing. Okay, and again, it runs all day long, and it runs at this speed. It goes choo, 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 24 hours a day. So if you can only imagine what those are and stuff. The last time that I saw one of those was at St. Louis Embroidery, and it was absolutely fascinating. And they use these wide tapes. They still use the wide tapes also. My pleasure, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you, Bronwyn. Thank you, Melissa. All right, guys. Guys, if you have any any suggestions for training, thanks, Gail. You could email me to support at willcomeamerica.com. If it's something that's going to influence the masses, definitely take a look at that. We ask that you also visit us at www.willcomeamerica.com for more information on machine connections and things like that, device drivers and downloads. Thank you, Gina. And so guys, thank you so much for your time with me today. I just love spending time with you. And as always, you guys have a great evening and enjoy your weekend. And I have questions here. Hello, Rita. Hi, welcome. Greetings from Finland. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. And Bonnie says, okay, Bonnie, no worries. Thank you. You have a great weekend. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you next week. You guys have a great weekend. And as always, happy digitizing. I will get this class to you in the class project. I will send that to you this evening. So you'll have that with you also. And again, if you know that you can't make the class, it's a great idea to just register anyway, because you will get a copy of the class and you'll also get a copy of the class project. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. Bye-bye.